It is 4:21, and we were scheduled to start at 4:15 to give time for others to come in. So again, thank you for coming, attending the last SHAC meeting for the academic year 23-24. And so there's a few things on the agenda, so we're just going to jump right into it. So we're going to start off with SFE, Sarah, and she has some information for us.
Thanks for being here this afternoon, y'all. I am Sarah Watson. I'm the assistant PM for SFE. And I have two things that we're going to talk about today. One of them is going to be our summer feeding program. Just a short synopsis of what's going on here. We have 3 campuses serving over the summer. We have North and Central Elementaries as well as the junior high. At North, breakfast will be from 7:30 to 8:30 and lunches from 11 to 12:30. Those times are going to be set across. There are different programs being run at different schools, so the dates may be a little bit different. For North, we're feeding June 3rd through June 28th. At Central, there's a number of programs here. So summer feeding starts with May 28th and ends July 9th. ACE program, which is the after school activity program, that runs May 28th through June 27th. We also have the YMCA Safe Camp program, which is Tuesday through Friday. The first week and then Monday through Friday every week after that. That is May 28th through July 12th. And then the junior high runs the same service times. They have summer feeding starting May 28th and then ending the 27th. And they also have their ACE after school program from May 28th until June 27th. Is there any questions about that? No? Okay. The other thing that I wanted to talk about today is our local wellness policy here at PISD. I've included the policy for y'all to look at, as well as another one that is a scorecard of the assessment of the local wellness policy. The WellSat, which is the assessment scorecard, is a quantitative assessment tool that is used to measure the strength and comprehensiveness of your local school wellness policy. So it's broken down all of the requirements here that you're supposed to include in your wellness policy, and then it checks it according to what the standards are. The wellness policy and assessment are required documents for the state administrative review that we're going to be under an audit for next year, which is why we went back and looked at this now in our preparation for that. To our knowledge, the last time this wellness policy was updated was 2/14 of 2017, which is probably why there's a lot of missing things on here, is because the requirements for these things change pretty often according to the USDA and the TDA guidelines. So a lot of these requirements probably weren't available at that time. They weren't part of it. So it's just something that we need to get updated. When we put it through the WellSat assessment on our end, it didn't come out very well, but it's just something that we need to update and get approved. The assessment sections for your wellness policy are supposed to include nutrition education, standards for USDA child nutrition programs and school meals, nutrition standards for competitive and other foods and beverages, physical education and physical activity, wellness promotion and marketing, and then implementation, evaluation, and communication. We scored very, very high in the nutrition education category, but lower in the physical education activity, wellness promotion and marketing, and evaluation. Currently, the standards for USDA school meals and nutrition standards for competitive foods and beverages are not even in our policy at all. So that's just something that needs to be added in. And even though this sounds like a lot of stuff, there's no need to panic or worry. What's important is that we revise the document and include the missing info. This is why we're talking about this now, and to get attention on it, and so we can designate some time and thought towards improving the current wellness policy. Grant has offered to go and spearhead this. My boss, Grant, the GM, and go through it and compile all the things that we need to do, and then I was talking to Rachel earlier about how we would really need to get this approved by September. So, but he's offered to go and do the legwork on that and get everything together so we can just review it as a group.
We can review it through email.
Yes.
So I can send it out through email, we can vote on email, and add anything that we need to in considering this is the last meeting of the school year, I may be sending out an email, maybe when we'll try to get it together.
Yeah.
So when they come to audit, would it be based upon the current year data or a 1 year lag, 2 year lag?
I'm not quite sure on that exactly. I just know at this point that we were supposed to assess it and look at it, so I'm not sure. Grant told me that he thought as long as we got everything corrected by September, that we would be compliant. So, but at this point, I'm just going off of, my discussion with Grant because he has been the one really looking at the audit stuff, so.
When you say September, you're probably saying like the 1st of September.
Yeah, I believe our audit is probably gonna start in October. And so, as long as we get it board approved and stuff before TDA arrives, I believe that we should be fine on that, so. Does anybody have any questions about the one policy or how we need to revise it? No?
I was gonna say, no, we do not sell sodas in
Right,
machines. So we just need to put that in there. We do
Yes.
not.
yes, exactly, because we have to go through and look at the competitive food sales versus our program every time, and it's not like, that would be like the Chick-fil-A and things like that are on there. And so since we already don't have really any competing foods here, it really should just be in addition to the document.
And once we will see the information,
Mhm.
but is this pushed down to the schools as in principals, or is it just mainly the upper level thing?
I would assume that since the district, this is the district's policy, not like just our section, the food service, that at some point it would be disseminated down through, but I'm not quite sure how that would be handled on y'all's end. So, we'll figure it out. Anybody else? No? All right, if you guys come up with any more summer feeding questions or anything, I'll be here after the meeting as well, so. Thank you.
So now, we have Sunil. And she's gonna give us information on the absence curriculum, and then after that, I think we have to take a vote.
Yes.
With that.
My name is Sanel Hyatt. I'm the Executive Director of Compassionate Care Pregnancy Center. And I am presenting for your approval the abstinence curriculum to be used for the 2024-25 school year. The policies of the Texas Education Agency and Plainview ISD state that the school should present abstinence as the preferred choice of behavior for unmarried persons of school age. And you can use these PowerPoint slides to follow along. I'm pretty much going to read from those, but I will tell you, if you have each one of the curriculum in front of you, if you want to review it before you vote. Plainview ISD uses curriculum authored by Scott Phelps. Game Plan, 7th grade, Quest for 8th grade, Aspire for high school, and Navigator for high school. Currently, we are using Quest and Aspire. PISD started using this curriculum during the 2011-2012 school year. 8,885 students have participated since that time. All 4 curriculum cover the same topics, and all 4 are based around this definition. Abstinence is choosing to save all sexual activity for marriage. Each curriculum is age appropriate, and the information is updated on a regular basis, so students are getting the most current statistics and facts. 97% of students in the Plainview school that have completed the curriculum would recommend it to other students. And this curriculum has assisted in reducing the pregnancy rate in Plainview schools by 90%. Each curriculum helps the student set life goals, make a plan to accomplish those goals, evaluate the consequences of risky behaviors such as tobacco, alcohol, drugs, and sexual activity outside of marriage. It helps them evaluate how much time they spend with all types of media, understand the value of education, learn the value of self-control. It also helps the students determine what a healthy relationship should be and how to set boundaries. Realize that past mistakes do not define who they are and that anyone can start over and make better choices. It helps them work on becoming a person of good, strong character. It helps them understand the benefit of saving all sexual activity until marriage, and helps them to learn to prepare for a healthy, stable marriage. Each workbook covers the same topics, but in a different order. So I'm going to give you a breakdown on all 4 of the curriculum as we go. Game plan, which is co-written by AC Green. I don't know if y'all remember him, the Iron Man of the NCAA. Chapter 1 is about setting life goals. Chapter 2 is the influence of media. Chapter 3 deals with the physical, emotional, mental, and social consequences of sex outside of marriage. Chapter 4 is about sexually transmitted infections. Chapter 5 is about starting over, making a fresh start. Chapter 6 is about choosing good friends and building your character. Chapter 7 shows the benefits of marriage. And Chapter 8 is achieving your goals and learning self-control. Request, and we do currently use this in the 8th grade health classes, and it's been used every year except this year. Chapter 1 is about setting goals. Chapter 2 is learning to choose well. Chapter 3 is about media influence. Chapter 4, the physical, emotional, mental, and social consequences to sex outside of marriage. Chapter 5 explains why saving sex for marriage matters. Chapter 6 is preparing for marriage and family. Chapter 7 is about sexually transmitted infections. And Chapter 8 brings it all together in finding true love. For Aspire, which is used in the high school, Chapter 1, setting goals and making a plan to achieve the goals. Chapter 2, the physical, emotional, mental, social, and financial consequences to sex outside of marriage. Chapter 3 is about sexually transmitted infections. Chapter 4, media influence. Chapter 5 is the power of self-control. Chapter 6, pretty self-explanatory, how to have a healthy marriage. Chapter 7, starting over by letting go of the past. And Chapter 8 brings it all together. Life is short, live well. This particular curriculum has been used in the human growth and development classes, girls and boys PE, and in health classes. The last curriculum that's been used at the high school in the same classes I just mentioned. Chapter 1, setting life goals. Chapter 2, media influence. Chapter 3, physical, mental, emotional, and social consequences of sex outside of marriage. Chapter 4, sexually transmitted infections. Chapter 5, avoiding risky behaviors like tobacco, alcohol, and drugs. Chapter 6, good character qualities. Chapter 7, distinguishing between healthy and unhealthy dating relationships. And Chapter 8, the qualities of a healthy marriage. We are recommending that all schools use the online versions of each curriculum, and this is for 4 reasons. Number 1, the online version is available in English and Spanish. The student picks the one they prefer. The students can complete the curriculum using headphones and a tablet, and they can move at their own pace. And if they get behind, they can always work from home on a computer or a cell phone or something like that to catch up with the rest of their classmates. Each chapter in the online curriculum offers an assessment to see how much the student has learned. That's not in the paper workbooks, which gives the teacher 8 grades for each student, and the teacher like that. And the online version allows the teacher to present this on their own schedule without waiting for me to work with me on my schedule. So it has multiple advantages. It is more costly, but it is user-friendly for the teachers and the students. And where they're using headphones and a tablet, they're not as distracted. And it really is an excellent version. The workbook before you will be available at the schools. The beginning of the year, game plan and quest will be available at Estacado, and Aspire and Navigator will be available at Plainview High School, and we need to have them at Ash High School also, so that parents can see what's being taught. The only thing that parents don't have access to is the assessment that's in the online version. Does anybody have any questions? Okay,
You said that it wasn't in the curriculum this year?
it was not taught this year. We discussed that at our last meeting because in the past, they have split up boys and girls because I would go teach one group and if it was a female teacher, she would teach the girls. If it was a male teacher, they teach boys, and I teach whichever one they didn't. But with COVID, the eighth grade went to the online version, but they kept splitting the classes, even though it wasn't being taught face to face. And they could not make that work this year because they had 3 different health teachers with 3 different schedules. And so there was never a good balance for someone to come in and teach the other set. And so we believe that was because the policy stated they had to be separated. The policy states that the school may separate the boys and girls. And so at the last meeting, we discussed, it doesn't have to be voted on, but if we're going to do face to face, if we go back to that, we agreed that we should split them because it allows for more free conversation. But if they're using the online version where it's self-directed, that they can keep all of their students in the same classroom. But yes, because of some conflicts, they did teach the abstinence message because they have to as part of the TEKS, but they did not use this curriculum. Yes, there's a whole group that did not get the curriculum.
Like, they just used their own version?
It's whatever I guess the TEA puts out. It's listed in they have a curriculum that's listed in their TEKS, and I am not familiar with that. But this is the first time since 2011 that it hasn't been taught. And I wish we hadn't missed a whole year, but they just couldn't, the teachers couldn't make it work. Because they thought they had to split, and we all did, but they don't. It's just what's been done in the past.
So do you go to, so you would, like, do you go to all of the places that this is taught? Or do we just split the 7th graders and the 8th graders?
The high school has, except for a couple of years, the first 2 years of COVID, they used the online version. Then we went back to face to face. And I teach boys and girls together at the high school. But they split 7th grade. It's never been the full curriculum. It's been an abbreviated version, and I would talk to all the girls, and then I would get to talk to all the boys. That's how that's been done. But that has not been done since COVID. But the 8th grade continued. They just switched to online. So, and that really works better for them. And it works well for also because it's hard to because before they wouldn't let anybody else go in and teach other than me. That's a lot of classes. So, but the online has some benefits that face-to-face doesn't. Because when I'm teaching face-to-face, we're going fast. They can't go at their own pace. I just have to hope the teacher listen, go back and fill in the answer. But with the online curriculum, they have to finish the first page before they can go to the next page. So they have to complete every page so they can continue to move forward, which is a big benefit.
So is it kind of more self-paced, or do you have a certain amount of time?
They usually give them 2 to 3 weeks. They set aside, but I get updates too, as I can't see what these students are doing, but I get updates as people are completing things. And so even 2 or 3 weeks after, you'll have students completing it. They'll just do it on their own time because they do get grades. They get 8 grades, so they have to complete all 8. Any other questions?
Well, I was gonna mention on the backside of this, like even with the importance of abstinence, something that many do not know is that with the daycare, the school districts, our school district pay for daycare also. So the student is required to pay $20 per week. We pay the rest of it. I mean, we pay it. It comes out of our budget. So $20 a week, we know that with daycare, it's not even, it's more than $20 a day. So the student, if they have a child, they're paid $20 a week. And we will pay the rest of it. So each year, we can't determine how much is needed because it all depends on who has a baby with that. I mean, so sometimes that can be $1,000 a month, 600, more than that. It all depends on that. So, and we partnership with We Care with that. And so, you didn't know that. But then also what comes into play is truancy when they don't go to school. So by law, it says when they have their 10th unexcused absence, we're supposed to file them. Thing is, if the student is pregnant, we can't file them. Cannot file if they're pregnant. I mean, we'll go to court. So, and the reason why that's important is basically the state gives the district at least $6,160 per student. All right, to go to school. All right. Part of that, you get the percentage of when they do everything. Let's say the students only went to school 75% of the time. So they only get 75% of that money. So when they're out, we're losing money with this. And more students at time they're out. And the reason why I can say this is because one, I have to sign for the daycare bill. Two, a lot of times when it comes to pregnancy, a lot of the girls want to come to ASH either to graduate on time or graduate early with this. So I see this firsthand. I mean, and even with the pregnancy, it's trickling down to younger grades.
Yes.
It's trickling down. It's just not a high school thing anymore. It is not with this. So it's happening. And then also you're thinking, oh, it's just a female. Well, sometimes you don't have to give students a reason to miss school. So therefore, if the girl is missing, the guy want to miss also. Or got a doctor's appointment. So they'll take off the entire day, even though the doctor's appointment is at 3 o'clock. With that. So you lose on that part. But here's another thing. He's like, let's say who's going to I'm just saying John and Jane. John and Jane are together, boyfriend, girlfriend. Jane get pregnant. John wants to move out of his house and go live with Jane. When John leaves his house voluntarily, he's now considered homeless. Even though he left voluntarily, he's homeless. So now we have to classify him there, and there's a whole new set of rules now, being homeless, that we have to follow. Or vice versa. If she go live with him, there's a whole nother set of rules. So it starts with Athens, but it goes to, yes, affects a lot with that. So I just want to give a little brief scenario on that part that I.
Can I give them some past statistics? In 2008, 2009, it was somewhere between 110 and 120 girls pregnant at Plainview High School. That was an unusual year. And it was, and a lot of those were freshmen. The average years before and after that is like around 60. You couldn't go to a class without having a pregnant girl in your classroom. That is now averaging for the past 5 or 6 years, if you include all the schools, 6 to 12 girls a year. And we're right at 11 this year, I think is what, 12.
Ones that are
12 now.
12.
documented.
Yeah,
If
there's
they-
one that don't, right?
Documented.
Right. So that number has come way down. We're not saying the abstinence program has done all of that, but it sure has helped with that because you're getting the students to think beyond the moment and to think about their life and what could take them longer. So that's a good curriculum. Like to see it continue, but that is up to you.
What is the cost difference on the like workbooks?
It is $12 per student for online And it has been 8 per student for the workbooks. Because the workbooks are not in Spanish yet. They are working on that. They are not in Spanish yet. But I'm just happy the online version has Spanish. And because there are always students who will sit there, like the high school last year, there were 2 or 3 students, and somebody had to translate for me, another student. So we get 2 people who aren't able to listen as well. Did you have a question?
Yeah, so when a, girl is pregnant, what is protocol for like, CPS to be involved? Like what has to happen in order? So there's
Not
not,
per CPS, there's not any like requirements. Now granted, if it's an elementary kid or something like that, yes, we would do it automatically.
Yeah.
But even middle school is a little tricky because CPS sometimes won't do anything because they, I mean, granted, they're not old enough to truly consent,
Right.
but they can say,
I do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's where the water's a little muddy because, you know, to me, those are still kids who are way too young to make that decision, but it's happening more.
But we definitely try to communicate. I mean, like she said, the closer in age they are, you're really not gonna have it. But sometimes you have those cases where you may have a teen with a 30, 40-year-old. That case,
I mean, it all just kind of depends on the situation.
yes.
And sometimes, you know, the students may not be 100% honest with us. They may say they're pregnant, but they're not gonna tell us who it's by.
Right.
Or they may not say anything else other than hang out. And so, I mean, it's really kind of complicated depending on, I mean, we can always do a CPS report. But are we sometimes wasting their time? It's better to be safe than sorry. But according to CPS, there's not really any specifics on when to do them and when not to.
The only reporting standard I know is if there's a 3-year age difference and one's an adult and one's a minor, like 15 and 18. 16 and 19. But I mean, at the pregnancy center, we call the police, we don't call CPS. And then we let the police explain to them what will happen from there.
So is this in high school like an elective class or it's just taught all year?
It's taught through the human growth and development. It used to be taught in more classes, but that has changed. It can be taught in the high school health when they catch the kids who didn't get help in 8th grade. And then I've spoken to both girls and boys PE classes, more girls than boys, but it depends on the teacher at the time. And when those change every year, it's a little tricky.
So 8th grade was the only grade that didn't give the
Yes.
grades this year.
Well, it was 8th grade and high school. Like I said, 7th grade, they have not got the abbreviated version since COVID. But we probably need to get back to that. I go in and do like an hour and a half presentation. I just condense it. And where they're all at one school now, that would be much easier than it was before because they were.
Whenever you go, do your presentation, do you feel like the kids actually benefit from it or like they're engaging, or do you feel like they're not really
I
responding?
have students come up to me afterwards and thank me for the presentation. No, but it's not every student. There will be a handful who are not going to listen, and that's fine. I mean, that's normal in a classroom.
Right.
There are going to be those who don't listen. But yes, they engage more than you think they do. First of all, I'm not a regular teacher. And I'm pretty honest with them. I said, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I'm just here to give you some facts. You decide what you're going to do with them. And so that's how it's presented. I have a pretty good response from the students, and I would say it's a little better with the young men. You know, just being honest there.
Do you feel like they get more out of it from online instead of the in-person?
But that's really hard to gauge, but I can see the completion rate. And when I do face to face, I have no idea.
Not understanding attention or.
or how much, they're actually writing in their books.
So on the online version, is there a place for them to like ask questions on there?
They can, not necessarily on there, but they can ask the health teacher, and the health teacher is prepared, trained and prepared.
And with the online version, I know you said they did complete this section before moving on.
Yes.
Do they have to score a certain grade before
No.
moving on? Is there just,
Answer the questions. I mean, there's not that, some pages might have one or two, some might have four. They have to put an answer in for each question before they can go to the next page. And the beauty of this is the teachers can't see their answers. It's very private. And so the only thing the teacher can see is their answers on the assessment, which is basically what did they learn? And it automatically gives a grade.
So it's like writing prompts, not a multiple choice? The questions that they answer, is it like writing prompts? Like-
Yes.
Like free open writing?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not multiple choice, like, you know.
No, and it's more, when, we always tell the students to be honest with yourself. This is only gonna benefit you, nobody else is gonna read it, so as you're filling out the questions, just be honest with yourself. Most students don't realize they ever had a choice about sex. They just think everybody's doing it, when they realize everybody's not. Gives them a little more freedom, gives them a little more power. You guys are asking great questions, thank you. What else? Do you have any hesitations?
No. I say let's do it.
and I think on our end, we have to work on it to see how we can make it more consistent, regional.
Yeah,
Is
the
there-
high school is where the consistency breaks down, like I said, because the classes I speak to, there's been a big teacher turnover for the past few years. But I think with the online version, it will appeal to more of those teachers. And so I think we can sell it a little better. And for those Spanish speakers and readers, they can.
And the online version may be better since there's always a turnover with the teachers. Since
Yes,
now
exactly.
with alt certification, you don't know
Right.
who's going to be in the classroom or who's really talking to the student. I mean, they may not be certified. It's a possibility
Right.
nowadays way things are with that. And so don't want anybody, everybody
Yeah.
teaching, especially about this.
Any other questions? Ready to vote? How do you want to?
Do we make the motion?
Pam, you want?
I make a motion.
Second.
So this is for the online, right?
This is just for the curriculum period.
Different,
So
yes.
it'll be up to the school district. I mean, we can recommend to do the online, but it's really truly up to the school district. So yes, we will definitely recommend it, assuming everybody is all in favor for it, then we can do that. Everybody all in favor?
Any nays?
Wish we could go back and get eighth grade. Slip it in. That's where yours is. Yeah. Yeah.
I do too. That,
Well, my question about high school was because I know that my daughter took health classes, but like my boys, I don't remember them ever talking to me about taking a class, talking about this.
if they did it in eighth grade, you should have had to sign something.
Yeah, you know, that's on consent, either an opt-in or an opt-out. I think this one, like we did last time.
I think it's an opt-in this time.
Yeah, I think it's
It used to be an opt-out.
Yeah, they have a chance to do it.
I think it
That's-
needs to be an opt-out.
Yeah.
Everybody about to get it unless your mommy and daddy says no. And they probably aren't even reading the paper. I agree.
And that's the problem, is if you do the opt-in, and most people just throw it away.
Yeah.
This is the same for the puberty talk.
I mean, we changed all that.
No, they just changed it.
That was, that's TEA changed that.
Unfortunately, we can't Thank you. Yes, thank you. Not an easy topic.
Okay, I think it's on me now. Okay, here we go. It's May. It's warm. Behavior is up. It is up a lot. From kids destroying Chromebooks.
Oh, yes, sure.
Yes.
Stealing.
Purpose stealing them, doing everything to the vapes, fighting. It's May with this. And so, I know the principals, APs, we have been meeting, trying to determine, because every year we always go and review the discipline policy. And this year, of course, the big topic is vaping. When it comes to vape, because even the state has changed the coding that will be put into Skyward for vaping. They even separate it now. You got Nick vape is one code, THC vape is another code, and then they got other substances because sometimes you just don't know what it is. And so when it comes to vape, the legislation said that it's supposed to be a DAP placement. That's what they say. And DAP is, which most of y'all know is Surge, what's called Impact now with that. And this is not over at Eddie's, the JJAP. This is our own DAP, which is hosted at my school on one side. And so what's happening is because of all the vaping and a lot of it is addiction. Now, it is part of their deal. And so what is happening is saying that the state says we have to punish, which means we have to pull them out of class. But then if we have too many, we get deemed by the state where they can come in and say, this is what you're doing wrong with it. So what we're trying to do is see what's the best route. I'm not saying this is the route we're gonna go, but when we look at it, it's like some are saying, is a nicotine vape pen having that really worth being out of the classroom for at least 20 days? That's what it starts. That's where it is. Or do we look at it just like when most of us growing up, like the vape pens, it's just like regular nicotine when they had cigarettes in class or on them at school. It was like 3-day ISS, start there and then move up. So that's what we're deciding now. I know last year it went to the parents in the community and stuff like that. And then the district went with what the community was saying with this. And so there's a lot of that going on, a lot of it. There's a lot of THC going on. With that. And now what I heard, was it last week or week before, we were talking about the federal level, changing the punishment with that, changing it from one class to a lower class. I think they said from 1 to 3. That's happening federally. So if it's happening federally, they're talking about it pretty soon. It's going to happen state, locally. I think Lubbock is already voting on that to be less of a punishment with that. And the fact is a possibility, continuing to teaching pretty soon is a possibility. If things keep going the way it's going, it's a possibility you could have a classroom full of kids either under the influence and you have to teach them and you can't do anything with that. So, I mean, this is where we're heading in reality, but at the same time, we're still going to be responsible for teaching them and making sure they're getting all the information with that. So it's one of those, is like Alice in Wonderland, off with their heads with the big thing, or going another route. I mean, with this now with THC is THC. You just can't be, at least right now, you cannot. You're not supposed to have access to it, and a lot of them have access to it for many reasons, or different reasons with that, and everybody reacts to it differently with that. And so that's the main conversation right now, is how do we handle the discipline with Nick vape versus THC vape? Because then comes the other question. Do we treat elementary the same way we treat high school? Should a fourth grader that has a nic or vape pen be given the same punishment as a high school? Because the first time with THC vape right now, if I'm not mistaken, is about 45 days. Then they have it again, it's 60 days in DAP. Then it's the rest of the year in DAP. So that's the thing that I have to constantly think of and discuss with others with that. So that is the battle right now.
Is there any education going on as far as like how vapes affect kids? Because I've just been seeing like a lot of people like have adverse reactions, and of course it's terribly addictive, like much more than other substances. And so I'm just wondering if like anybody is like letting the kids know, like, yeah, this looks cool, but it can like literally kill all of your organs, type situation.
Yeah, there has been some education on it. I know now MTSS, they have this new program called BASE, where the students, they enter their information and then the program runs it and say, okay, you're at this much risk or this much, and then give them a curriculum based upon that overall. That's on that part. They actually, this discussion as in what can be done as in with the education part that is being discussed right now. I think there's like 4 or 5 different ideas of what to do. I think there's even like if you want to say a vape box where it's outside of school, you just turn it in, no questions asked with that. And so you see the pros, you see the cons. Okay, you turn it in, or the person go, and there's, oh, I'm getting ready to turn it in. I mean, you look at both ways. And so there's a discussion of what try to do with it. I mean, they said some with the cheerleaders coming up or contests of being rewarded for not vaping and stuff like that. I think they're talking about bringing, what's her name in again? Is it Grace? What's her name?
Quality,
Char-
the name's Nurse Charlie. There you go.
Charlie. And then there's a guy they're talking about. They said that he's seen all of this stuff. I cannot remember the name right off the bat. Bringing him in, just saying, this is what I saw in the ER. And I think he was talking about that there is 20, he went to a school and was speaking to some students with that, and he talked to one afterwards. And then he was at the hospital and there's like 20 workers in there taking turns with the CPR going around because they just want to continue it. And then when that person got to that student, I just spoke to the student with that, and he was talking about the popcorn rooms and everything. I mean, saying this is real. And that's the hard part, is getting them to realize this is real. And with teens, it's more, I am Superman, I am Wonder Woman, and it's never going to happen to me. But when it happens, it's too late. And the scary part is we're just in the beginning phases of just seeing some of the effects. So with this, they're teens right now, so we don't know how their life is going to be when they turn 30 with this, because that's serious.
So like, do they hold like assemblies and stuff like that? Like, I don't know. I mean, my daughter goes to the collegiate school, but I just wondering if they like ever hold like 9th grade assembly or a 10th grade assembly, and maybe like choose to have like somebody speak to them, about something, especially when it gets to this severity, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're just accessible, you know, everybody thinks that they're okay, you know, but, you know, smoking one cigarette out of the whole day, or like, you know, somebody having a vape that they just keep taking over and over and over again, like, you know, they're not the same.
This one, I thought of a vape is like 7 cigarettes.
Yeah,
And we held an assembly at the beginning of the school year, back, was it October?
Mhm.
For everybody at ASH, including the impact side, all the kids that have been there vaping and all that. And, we had the UMC needs nurses who Charlie again to talk about all the things that she's seen in the ER, the fentanyl, like she brings vapes and shows you and goes into all the details about what's harming you and what's, you know,
but I feel like once they already get to ASH, like, they're kind of
well,
already.
and even at that point, and some of the kids, like, some of them were very concerned after they heard it, and then some are like, "Mom, I'm gonna smoke right now." You know, I mean, and it doesn't matter, I mean, we're having fourth graders. So, I mean, it doesn't matter where we started, it's just gotta be started.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to be able to give the information out to the kids, no matter if they've already been vaping or not. If they don't know, then.
Last year, I had talked with Rachel Long when my daughter was in 7th grade, and we had talked about vaping and stuff. And so I had actually looked into Moms Against Vaping. It's a program. I don't know if you've heard of it. And I inquired about it. And they're like, they will train somebody, or there can be somebody that comes into the school and presents information to them. So if I can ever help do that, let me know. I'd be glad to look into it or whatever I need to do.
I know that all the campuses were originally gonna get with UMC, the needs nurses and have them present, but I don't think it ever went anywhere besides us. So, it's something we can also bring up again and see what we can do with the.
So they could bring up at the AD.
Yeah. You said it was Mom being safety.
Yeah. I still get their emails.
Is it local or like Lubbock, or
I think it's nationwide.
do they have a branch, like they have people in all
It's called Parents Against Vaping. Is the program.
And whoever's brought in, they must have the ability to capture students' attention. If they do not capture them, it is a waste.
I think when I looked into it, it was, like firsthand, like it was moms or parents that lost.
And that's gonna really get the students to listen. I mean, at least majority of them, because that person who's speaking went through it. You don't want, I mean, I know this is just my opinion. You can have somebody with all the data, all the knowledge, but if they didn't live through it, you're not gonna reach some of these kids because you're not in my world. But if you're in my world, I will listen to you. So, but that's what we have been focusing on overall, because the majority of the placement right now in the impact setting is because of vaping. Because of vaping. And like she said, it's all the way down to 4th grade.
It's actually younger than that, but we can't do anything with anything younger than 4th grade.
Like 10, I mean, to be on campus and stuff.
So what is the discipline right now? Because you said you were trying to decide whether you treat a 4th grader the same way as a high schooler. So what do y'all do now?
So right now, when it happens, we say this is what the policy is, but we have to run it through the assistant superintendent also to make sure, again, it is appropriate for them. Again, you can have a fourth grader that's 10. It's no and if buts about it. They can go to DAP. But you have to be 10 to be placed in DAP. So what if you have a 9-year-old?
So it's subjective according to the individual student under the age.
Sometimes, yes, I mean, you can't send them over there, so. With that, we don't have an elementary DAP. Don't have that. So, and then it comes to the deal as in, do you want a third grader in a room with the 11th grader?
And what is that kind of CPS issue?
They, a lot of times when something like that's happened, a lot of times CPS is contacted with that. But then it's up to them to determine if it's negligence and stuff like that. But CPS is involved. I mean, that's part of one of our deals. We do contact.
Like this year compared to last year, like what is the increase like?
Oh, a lot. A lot. I'm not even, yes, the ones getting called, yes. So. That's part of it. We are going to a training this, or the trainers coming here, being here so we can be taught to look for the signs. The assistant principals, the nurses, principals. So we are going to be trained on what to look for.
The drug impairment training for education professionals. So it's like what you will look for, like what signs you will see. It actually gives us a certificate at the end for completing the training and actually being able to provide that assessment. Because right now the nurses do assessment and there's really nothing to back up. If something, if a parent wanted to come at us and say, this is just your opinion, we're not saying whether they're truly under the influence or not. We can get vitals of what is abnormal and we can look at certain things, but this will allow us to actually have more experience and more expertise with that situation and what to look for specifically.
Is it like an actual certification or just an in-house course with y'all?
No, it is a certification. The guy is from Houston and it is like a certification that he does statewide. So he travels all over the place. So I got that set up a few months ago and he'll be here in July to do that for all APs and principals as well, because if the nurse isn't on the campus, they will like call another nurse and all the campuses are busy. So you're gonna take this nurse away from the 5 kids that are in her office to come do an assessment. And so this way, if the nurse isn't there, there's still at least 2 other people on campus who can do that assessment.
It's a 2-day training.
It is 2-day training. They give CEUs for the nurses will get CEU credits and they get education credits as well for education.
So if the person is like looks under the influence, but they don't have anything on them, like what do y'all do in those scenarios?
It depends with it. We have to look at different evidence, but it's a possibility that the person seems like they are, and we can do assessment, take vitals and stuff like that. And if it's we can say, okay, there's nothing on, but we'd like for you to go to the doctor and get the drug test, whatever. If it comes back clean, there's no discipline. If it is not clean,
Or if they choose not to, then they get the.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. Is it a requirement? for
It's
them?
not, it's up to them. If they don't want to take the discipline, then they can go for what they want.
and it's their cost on them, they pay the bill. That has happened. So. And then update on the spring point of view, there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people out there. What we thought, when you bring out the littles, everyone comes out. There's a lot of people. But it's a good thing though. It's a good thing. They got the information, from the elementaries with the little ones singing. They even have a pony out there with that, I think there's a pony out there going out there. We had the DJ. He was playing music. There's booths set up left and right. And what was amazing was 2 days before, it seemed like there's only going to be like 10 different organizations. Then all of a sudden, that last night, it just showed up. So it was great overall. Yes, it got a little bit windy. We had a jumpy house out there, kids playing on that. We had Wayland's soccer team there, our soccer team. I know we're gonna strategize a little bit more because I think the city, they had this game talking about the recycle and stuff like that, but it looked like a trash can, a big dumpster, but they had it in the back, so nobody went to them. So we need to strategize on where to put it, because I thought it was a dumpster. I was getting ready to get that. Even other people said, no, no, this is a game. It was like, oh, with that. So, as an input, I mean, participation, it was a good thing. It was a really good thing. And so, I think we're gonna try to get another one in October. Just have 2 a year, October and the spring. And it's a possibility that may be at Broadway. I'm gonna try to really may switch it and talk to her about switching to tennis, because it seemed like the one in the spring is a bigger one with that. So whew. Didn't want to move another table after that. Or chair, because I'll call them in here. I was like, can we get table? Can we get? But like I said, it was a good thing overall with the resources, CPS. You had the, if I'm not mistaken, the nurses, different organizations, different. So y'all know the people that are willing to just organizations that want to promote some stuff, resources. Everything was free. Everything was free. The only thing that was out there, only person out there trying to sell anything was the ice cream man. And she had to go, you can't sell here. I mean, he was making a killing with that. So, but no, and then I'll let her just speak on the certificate.
So last year we, were a part of SPAN, and I know we had talked about it at the very first meeting, but I received some little certification, of appreciation for the 3 campuses that, allowed them to do the survey of this, which was North Junior High and High School. And then they gave one for just the entire district as well. So I just wanted to give that information. And that was looking at like the nutrition and the physical, like what activity our students are doing. At the high school, they did the band. Junior high, it was athletics. And North was 2nd and 4th grade, I believe. That's a long time ago, sorry, it was last year we did this. And so they just gave a certificate of appreciation for us being a part of that survey. And I think they are planning on doing another survey in a few years. They do it, I think, every 3 years. And it's just a continuation to see how the districts are improving with their nutrition and with their activity level, and how the students are doing, like they look at their weight, their BMI, their height, all that, to try to compare it throughout the years.
What does SPAN stand for?
And of course, I did not write it down. It is.
Nutrition.
My.
I'm gonna say South Plain something. You don't have.
It's from UT. So UT is the one, like they send a group.
School physical activity and nutrition survey.
Thank you. So they send a group up here, and they bring all their equipment and they do the assessments and everything. So.
I just have one thought, and it might be random and useless, but I'll just throw it out there, but I'm hearing you guys say, okay, we're looking at pregnancy, we're looking at babes, we're looking at discipline, we're looking at all these things, and we're trying to treat each symptom, right?
There's a guy right across, I don't know, about 6 months ago or so. His name's Jamie Winship, and I think he lives in Tennessee. I mean, he's not local by any means, but he's a Christian guy, but he comes to schools, to businesses, CEOs, whoever, and he talks to them about identity. From not from a Christian perspective necessarily, but like that's the root cause of everything, right? So we don't know who we are, we don't value ourselves, that kind of thing. I don't know if that would be anything that a resource that we could utilize. I'm happy to, I don't know much about it at all. I just know I've heard him talk. He used to be in the CIA for like 24 years. He's got amazing stories of all sorts of stuff. So it's like he can engage kids for sure,
Does he go like nationwide?
Yeah, I mean, I think he speaks all over.
I think I spoke at Voice Day last year. I remember they telling me about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, but I mean, he's just a really great speaker, and I think he has some powerful,
You said his name is Jamie Winship.
Jamie, WINSHIP. He has a website called Identity Exchange. And again, that's all faith-based, but he doesn't have to present them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so.
Whatever.
I know this is our last meeting, but like how long are we a part of the?
So
team?
in the initial application that y'all all filled out, at the beginning of the school year, I did ask if you would be willing to do a two-year term. So, I mean, really, it's 100% up to y'all. I will send out an email. Well, normally when I come back to campus, I come back the last week of July, we post it for applications. But I will normally, before the school year's up, send an email asking, are y'all willing to do next year or not? Because I know some people, jobs change, they move, whatever happens. And so then at that point, y'all can decide, you can email me back yes or no, and I'll either keep you in the folder or I'll take you out of the folder. And when I come back in July, what I'll do is I'll send a new application to the email that I have on file for y'all. And then that way y'all can send that in, and then they'll also be posting the application online if we don't have, depending on what our numbers are. Because we want to have, I mean, as you see, not everybody can make it to every meeting, so we don't want to only have 10 members and only have 2 or 3 show up to every meeting. So, and this year I think we ended with 22 or 23, and that was our cutoff. Like, they wouldn't let us take any more. And so depending on what y'all say at the end of the month will depend if I reach back out to you in the end of July or beginning of August, just to get a new updated application, because we do try to keep it up to date every year. That way we have all of the same ones with the same deadlines on them and the same dates and everything on them. So it's 100% up to you. We would love to have everybody back again, because this has been a great group. But we can't force you to do it. So. And just because it says 2 years doesn't mean you can't do more than that either. So it is just 100% up to y'all. Yeah.
Good, very good.
We'll get there. It's a slow process, trying to figure out the right kind of balance on what we can and can't do. And like I said, this is only my second year doing anything with SHAC. So it's kind of a learning curve. I take one day at a time.
Thank you all again. Thank you.
I don't know if everybody noticed, but we do have 2 signage sheets at the front, and one is for my department specifically. So if you didn't sign both, would you mind doing that on the way out? Thank you so much.
And I guess she didn't join because